There is nothing better than late season primetime football with major playoff implications. And that's what we have here. This Sunday night, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens fly out to LA to play Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers here. Baltimore Ravens with the Kansas City Chiefs are now the number one. Kansas City Chiefs lost are now the number one seed in the AFC, while the Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert are on the outside looking in after another tough loss against the Green Bay Packers this past week. So many, just another, I think I saw, if I'm remembering the article correctly, I think their fifth straight loss that was by 3 points. Like that's how many, they've had so many close one-score losses here. And actually, let me just pull up their schedule here. And just so many games that they should have won. It could have been.
So they lost to the Chiefs. So 5 of their 6 losses this season have been by 3 points. They lost to the Chiefs by 2 touchdowns. Yeah,
maybe that's what it was. My apologies. And so they kind of missed that major part. So honestly, should have lost to the Chiefs. You can go look at every single game though, and it's like, yep, no opportunities there to go and win these games. And they definitely should have beat the Packers this past week. It's just more self-inflicted errors, several drop passes that would have been either game-time field goal or touchdown opportunities, or even just drop touchdowns just in general here. So they did lose their probably one of the main faces of the franchise, and Joey Bosa, probably for the season. Luckily, it was not a torn Achilles like everybody thought, but he just sprained his foot really badly. He's going to be going on IR most likely. It'll probably be the end of the season, especially, too, if they're not in a playoff hunt, if he is able to come back. But that's the thing. I think when I kind of look at this game, and I want to throw it over here to get your thoughts. So I feel like we know exactly what Baltimore is going to bring to the table. They're going to throw for about 200, 225 passing yards. It's going to be very dynamic. They're going to run for about 160 to 190 rushing yards. And they're not going to make too many mistakes. This defense is just going to be stout, going to make it very difficult for this offense to move the ball down the field. While the Chargers, I feel like with how well Justin Herbert's been playing this season, and they've had a couple injuries on in the skill position player size that they've had to manage throughout the season. But it is just self-inflicted wound after self-inflicted wound, it seems like, on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball, which is what's caused them to lose these games. Do you see it differently? What do you kind of see when you look at this matchup here for this Sunday night?
I see a Ravens team that just had a huge win last week. They're coming off a mini bye, per se, after a Thursday night game, going up against a fairly banged-up Chargers team who is coming off a slightly demoralizing loss to the Green Bay Packers after losing their star defensive player. And to me, I think it's just a tale of 2 juxtaposed seasons, right? Like the Ravens right now on their way to having the 1 seed in the playoffs, and the Chargers are looking like they're going to be having a new head coach next year just because they cannot stop with these self-inflicted mistakes. And like we've been talking about.
Did you hear his press conference? Did you hear his press conference afterward? He's like, nothing's going to change. I'm still going to be the play caller. Like, I'm not going to blame. I agree with the statement of saying, like, I'm not going to blame it on one unit for the defensive woes that we have. But it's like, nothing's going to change. Like, no, like nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
but
and that to me, I think and even I think you're seeing some stuff in the locker room as well. I think even the players are like, okay, we know how skilled we all are, and we are not winning these games. Like, something has to change.
Yeah, and it's like you're losing these games, and then like he is making bonehead decisions game after game. Even like I know they could have won last week, and they had other opportunities to win, but like they gave Minnesota a prime opportunity up 3 points to go down or up 4 points, I believe, to go down and score a touchdown by going for it on 4th and 1 on their own 30 in that game. So like I don't have a lot of sympathy for the Chargers and Brendan Staley specifically, because I feel like it's just self-inflicted wound after self-inflicted wound. And on the flip side, Todd Monken has this Ravens offense just absolutely clicking. Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, is more impressive this season than he was in his MVP year in the pocket, just because he's actually comfortable in the pocket. He's not scrambling. That's what Tennessee did in that playoff game that year to kind of shut him down, was they would just wait for him to scramble and then tackle him. Like So that for me is like he is a true pocket passing threat, and then now is the Lamar Jackson outside the pocket when things break down. So that to me is this Ravens offense is just getting near impossible to stop. Losing Mark Andrews doesn't help because they did like Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews had a great connection. But still, Zay Flowers looks great. Odell Beckham's shoulder injury isn't severe from what I read, but he could miss some time with it. I think he had a joint, like AC joint sprain.
Yeah, I've had that before. I think he might be able to play through it. Depending on the severity. And so I did not play through it because I wasn't playing any sports at the time when I did it, except for flag football. And so, but I think he has a significant better medical attention, athletic trainers capabilities than I think a lot of us have. So I think he'll be able to play. Be very curious to kind of see. But if that will be an interesting loss though too, because then it really will just be Zay Flowers will be the main guy. Rashad Bateman's had a good season. I think Nelson Aguilar actually hasn't played horribly. I think he kind of fits into that style that they want to play really well, which is don't throw the ball too much so he can't drop less opportunities. He can drop it. But in general, offense overall, I think is one of the most balanced offenses. Like statistically, like one of the most balanced offenses. I think they lead the league in rushing with 1,706 yards through 11 games, and then passing wise, just a little bit more at 2,326. So just very balanced all the way throughout. It's very consistent. And honestly, if I'm being honest too, you go look at their schedule, you can make an argument they should be undefeated. They should have beat the Colts. They definitely should have beat the Steelers. They should have beat the Browns. Like they could very well be 10-0. 11-0. My apologies. So very consistent. I agree with what you're saying as well. Then defensively, it's a typical Ravens defense. I feel just very stout, very very tough to play against. And so
they don't really make mistakes. They give you opportunities to make plays, but if you're going to have a score a touchdown, it's usually going to have to be after a 8+ play drive. So or you have to break multiple tackles.
I feel the Chargers have an opportunity to win here. It is at home for the Chargers, so it's not really at home. But I think they have the opportunity because they have the skill position players. I think not having Joey Bosa will be a huge loss here, especially as well if you just go and look at it and where they rank overall. They're 4th overall in total sacks at 34 on the season. But still behind the Ravens, who's number 1 with 44 sacks. And that's where I think it's just going to be interesting. The entire Chargers offense is going to have to play spectacular. And on top of that, too, defensively, they're going to have to somehow figure out how to stop this team. So I think it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very tough to watch. Let's get into our predictions here. And if you haven't figured out who Ryan and I are going to predict, then go back and watch the video and see if you can figure it out. But if you're still with us, thank you. Ryan and I, we have a goal of getting to 2,100 subscribers by Thanksgiving Day, which is a couple days away. We're at about 2060 right now, so just 40 short. Any help would be greatly appreciated. So like, subscribe, and ring that bell to get notified whenever we create new content. Ryan, who are you picking to win this game?
I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. They're on a bit of a hot streak, and I actually didn't even think about their 3 losses, and they really it would not be unreasonable for them to have made it to 10-0 so far. So I think they're kind of the hot new team. I really like this team's chances to potentially represent the AFC in the Super Bowl come February if they can keep this up. So I'm going with the Ravens. I think they're a far better team, and they're definitely better coached.
Yeah. Yes, most definitely. I'm also going to go with the Ravens here. I feel like this is going to be one of those. I know the game hasn't happened yet, but this is almost going to be one of those because the Ravens have done it a couple times already, like where they've lost the game. Like they weren't beaten, they lost the game.
Yeah.
I feel like the only way the Chargers can win this game, just with everything that's going on in the organization and the injuries that they're going through, and they just always seem to shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Is the only way I think the Chargers win this game is that the Ravens shoot themselves in the foot even more. Where they just somehow are not able to come out victorious here. Because on paper, they're the better team.
Yeah. I think if you look at the 3 losses too, like the Colts, they have a good defense. The Browns, they have a good defense. The Steelers, they have a good defense. Also, the Browns and Steelers are division opponents, so you never know like how those games are going to go sometimes.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment. Yeah.
And it's like the Chargers have a horrible defense, and they just lost Joey Bosa. So
Yeah.
it's just not I don't think it's a good matchup for the Chargers. So we're both going with the Ravens. Let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.